Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Ken Waddell, publisher of Document Strategy Media, and I would like to thank you all for attending today's webinar, Time to Get Digital, Digitize Your Document Processes with Document Automation. I'd also like at this time to extend a special thank you to our webinar sponsor, Xpertdoc and Xpertlogic brand. Before we start today's presentation, I do need to take care of a couple of quick housekeeping items. One, you can submit questions at any time during the presentation. Our speakers will be getting to as many of these questions as possible at the end of the webinar. Simply submit your question at the Q&A tab at the bottom of your screen. Secondly, our webinars, including this one, are archived for a full year. So you'll be able to view this anytime you'd like. Just simply use the same registration link you used to log in today. With that taken care of, I'd like to introduce today's speakers. Today we have Eric Batangan, Senior Sales Executive, and Stéphane Cloutier, Senior Sales Engineer, both with Xpertdoc. So with that, I'll hand things off to Eric.
Thanks, Ken. Hello, everybody. We are passionate about working better, faster when it comes to documents. And I love sharing our experiences and hope you'll leave today's session with a way to tweak what you're already doing, or at least get ideas where to start. So thanks for joining us today. My colleague and I will discuss the benefits of document generation and automation. We will share different challenges, best practices, and walk you through a scenario we are frequently asked to help improve. Stéphane and I come from a company called Xpertlogic. Xpertlogic specializes in configure price quote or CPQ software. We also specialize in document generation with a software called Xpertdoc. The premise of today's topic is around documents, and the Xpertdoc solution will help frame some of these ideas that we're going to talk about today. So Xpertdoc is a solution that's 100% focused on document generation technology. So our solution is used in many different industries all over the world, from banks, insurance, manufacturing, all levels of government, companies big and small, really looking for an easy tool that uses data and business rules to create all types of documents. With Xpertdoc SmartFlow, you can simplify the steps needed before a document is created, as well as simplify the steps after a document is created, all with a few clicks. I want to share some interesting predictions I read from Forrester. This past year was a challenge for everyone. As individuals, I know we're all happy that we're coming to the tail end of this. For all companies, regardless of industry, it accelerated digital transformation, if you had it on your roadmap or not. From what I've seen from the companies I've worked with over the past year, these predictions are true. The tools, the resources people use it at work, in their home office, work office, or on the road, just need to work. The experience they have with apps and tools that we use in our personal life really dictate the type of experience we want to have with our work tools. I talk to CIOs, VPs, and IT directors every day. They make big investments to improve how their people work, but realize the last mile, creating a document, typically ends up being a manual process. Even here at our own company, we've been using our software on the sales side for years. I send out NDAs, contracts, agreements, and quotes using Xpertdoc SmartFlows. This past year, we've expanded using our technology to help provision new client onboarding and finance for collecting invoicing instructions and new lead engagement with quick collateral emails, all from a few clicks. Now let's think about your customers. What's the journey that they go through with your company? All companies generate documents. Your business probably has your customer go through a process like this. And in this journey, your customer gets emails, all sorts of PDFs, maybe Word documents, and maybe some parts of your business still use physical paper. So let's think about that. What are the types of documents you send out to your customers? In this sample lifecycle journey, where are the bottlenecks? At what stage is it critical for you and your business to get timely response and accurate documents out to them? Although documents are needed at all stages, companies typically start and first look to improve how they engage and win new customers. Fast, accurate, great looking documents that make doing business with you easy and seamless. New customer engagement is critical. No margin for error. You need speed and consistency. Very important to stay competitive, stay faster than your competition. So again, what types of documents are we talking about here? Think about contracts, agreements, NDA, quotes, policies, letters. How do you create them today? How long does that take? How many different applications do you need to open to accomplish that? Do you find that each of your business users have their own process, maybe making a copy of their last document, editing it manually each time? And when you win new business, how do you onboard? How do you collect their data? How many systems need that data? So can you avoid data reentry, which is error prone and time consuming? We will expand on this in a few minutes with a real example, actually. So I've asked you to think about customer journey, but really to identify documents you need to create and what challenges you have with them. These are the main challenges we hear. Customers' expectations are really high, not only regarding speed, but making the document and all the communications relevant to each individual. Leveraging rules to drive outputs, but at the same time, compliant and consistent each and every time. When I talk to the individuals who create the documents, their recurring themes are, what we do today takes too many steps. They need to go to too many places to get data they need. Customer face time is sacrificed. Too much time on what feels like admin work. Really not motivating, actually. And what they want is the same experience in the office or on the road for every document they need to perform their job. So what should you consider when planning to improve your document process? First, we recommend you review your current process. A mistake we often see, companies buy some new software, but try to reproduce an existing process with a new tool. You really need to have a goal in mind, step back, and with this new tool, is there a faster way to get there? What steps can be removed? Understand the business rules that you have in place. What are some of the conditions you need to dynamically change the output so that the data, rules, and conditions dictate how the final document actually looks like? And can these rules help automate repetitive tasks? Let them trigger or schedule and batch different documents, maybe run them after hours. A real important thing to do is a document audit. So review the different templates you need to generate your documents. You can, more often than not, reduce the number of templates you need to maintain. One of our clients had over 150 templates when they came to us. We worked with them to understand what were these documents, templates needed for, and we actually helped reduce it to half. Many of them were the same template for other languages or slight changes, and they just recreated the same document. So business rules could help merge that into a single document. When we look at how you collect data, for most this is a nightmare. You're talking about rekeying data in multiple systems. So how can you share this information from a single entry? We will show you in a demo what this could look like. One example that we do with our customers. When you talk about templated processes, this makes your employee's job easy, really. We have a customer with over 2,000 salespeople in North America and Europe. When generating quotes, they simply select the smart flow needed from the opportunity in CRM, and the smart flow is configured to generate the quote based on the data in CRM and possibly other systems, using the rules and steps defined within that smart flow. The learning curve to train salespeople is extremely short. They don't need to know the steps. All they need to know is what document they need to generate and click it. So it's really making their day-to-day job really easy, staying in one application. And when it's centralized, you have control and visibility on what goes out to your customer. No more missing documents, no more documents sitting locally on business users' PCs, no more old logos, and worse, no more old legal language in your documents. This is all generated in real time, pulling from the latest approved language or logos or static documents in your repository. So really make it easy from anywhere and access your data regardless what system it sits on. So if you boil it down, if you use less tools, make fewer clicks, have rules drive the output, take away the responsibility to manually bridge data gaps between your systems, you give users the same experience anywhere, we're talking about massive productivity gains. So let's share a quick story. This is a story by one of our customers called GroupHEALTH. GroupHEALTH is an employee plan administrator. They work with insurers to assemble, implement, and manage customized benefits for their clients and members. This is a great example because GroupHEALTH incorporates several of the steps we talked about earlier around customer journey. They generate new contracts, onboard new employees, and collect data needed to generate these contracts, store the data in a system of record, and have upsell. So let's think back to your first day at work. You had to complete a bunch of forms, one of them being employee insurance coverage. This is what GroupHEALTH does. You likely filled out a form where not all sections were applicable to you. The optional coverage, you probably opt out. Not entirely sure if you need it, feeling pressured to complete the form and return. I remember my first day, I started with a bunch of people at the same time. We were all handed this clipboard, and there was no way I was going to be last to submit, to return that back. GroupHEALTH wanted to improve this process. Now, onboarding is done with a web form that leads the enrollee through an online process and exposes questions that are relevant based on the previous answer. So a dynamic form capturing all required information and resolving conflicts in real time. The smart form directly fills the system of record, no rekey required. The documents are sent for e-signature immediately, making the turnaround time days, not weeks to start coverage. So we could all see the benefits of this use case. Less errors, faster turnaround. They didn't have to hire temps to manually re-enter data from a paper form. Everyone from the client, the members, and the GroupHEALTH staff were extremely satisfied with this new process. But something amazing was discovered when the online enrollment went live. The web form allowed GroupHEALTH to add more information, educational tips, and videos to explain their optional coverage. Sales of optional coverage increased by 5,000%. And then let's talk about ROI. That's amazing. So let's see how this all works. I'm going to let Stefan a couple seconds to take control of the screen, but Stefan built a similar demo to what we talked about with GroupHEALTH. Stefan will simulate a business user at a bank starting a new loan application. We'll walk through how that process is triggered. We will talk about how the document is generated, and then we'll send that for e-signature and bring that back into the system that triggered the whole process. Floor is yours, my friend.
All right, thanks, Eric. Thank you, everyone. So for the presentation that we'll be doing today, we're going to be using Dynamics 365 for generating my document, but we could do the same thing with Salesforce and Sugar CRM, and from external system as well from our REST API. So from within Dynamics, I'm going to go into one of my contact account, and from there, from the account, you will notice that we have a smart flow button, and while clicking on it, we'll show all the flows that are available, and we'll be triggering a loan application. So by clicking on this link, what I'll do is be sending an email. We'll open up the execution panel and show the progress. So right now it's creating the document, and it will be sending the email, which is sent. Right now it's send email to the customer. And in this email, there'll be a link for a web form for the loan application. And that's the email that was sent out. So the email again itself is from a template as well with personalized hi Stéphane Cloutier. This is to complete the loan application and with a link to a smart form to fill in. So while I click on the link, this will open up a smart form for the customer to fill in. Should not be too long. Here it is. So pre-filled with data coming in from my system with the name. So everything has been entered. If the form is very lengthy, the customer could save and return later on. But I'm going to go to the second tab, which is the financial. So I want to apply for a mortgage loan, and the amount that I want is $250,000. And my employer name is ABC Company Inc. My occupation is sales, and my income is $50,000 a year. And my start date, I started in January of, let's say, 2019, January 1st. And I'm still employed there. And my company address will be Glen Smith, Southwest. If I had other employers, you can click add, and you can add as many as you want. Once this is completed, all I do is click on submit. And what will happen now, that the form will then return back to SmartFlows, and it will be generating a document, and then we'll be sending it through DocuSign for the customer to sign the application form. And I'll be getting the email from DocuSign, which is right here. And I'm going to click on the DocuSign, which will open up for e-signing. And as for e-signing, we do integrate with DocuSign, Adobe Sign, OneSpan Sign, and Certify. So we'll click continue. So this is my loan application, and with the information provided. And once filled, all I need to do is click here and sign and finish. And well, now that it's completed, what it will do then is it will then return the signed document, and in our flow, we configured it so that it will be stored within the notes in my CRM. It takes about 10 or 15 seconds to get back in. I'm just going to do a refresh to see if it's back in, and then you will notice that we have attached the signed document in our Dynamics. Just about. It's not there yet. Just do a refresh again. As I mentioned, it takes about 15 seconds to get back from DocuSign into the CRM. And here it is. We have our signed document into our CRM attached to a note. So all this done with very few clicks and all automated from SmartFlows.
Thanks, Stéphane.
Thanks.
So that was a really quick demo, but a lot happened there. So everything that happened in what you're seeing now on the Dynamics 365 screen, imagine that being the loan officer or the bank employee. Everything from signing the document, completing the application, imagine that being the client trying to apply for a loan. We used two different templates, one for the email, one for generating the actual application after it's been generated. We sent it out for e-signature. We bring that back into Dynamics, and you could imagine the different steps that would take if you did that by paper or having to re-enter information. You could see that it could be very time consuming. We did a lot in this little demo, and it's something that GroupHEALTH is using in a similar way, and really enjoy the process they're doing today. So what you saw was in this demo, data collect with smart forms, smart flow that took that data, generated the document, sent it for e-sign. When completed, brought it back into the system. Of course, you could do document generation even if you don't have to do the data collect, right? You have all the data you need is in your system. You could simply select the different smart flows to generate those documents. Let me go back to the presentation. And Stefan, can you maybe give a little bit more color around what's that process look like from generating a document?
Yes. So for automating the document generation with Xpertdoc, it's very simple 3-step process. So step number 1 in the get data, what we do is we build a data set. This is where you set and select the data that you will be using to generate your documents. We connect directly with the major CRMs such as Dynamics, Salesforce, Sugar CRM, and for all of their system integration, we have a REST API. In step number 2, the template designing, this is using all of Microsoft Word functionalities, plus we add the Xpertdoc add-in, where you'll be able to create very nice and complex templates, using the data set to map field from one or multiple data source. In step number 3, design smart flow. This is where you're going to be designing flows and telling, now that you've generated the document, you will configure what you want to do with the generated document, such as you could send by email, send through e-signature, save in a repository such as SharePoint or other storage. You could print and much, much more. You can do any one of these steps or all of them together at once.
So, as Stefan kind of illustrates, it's easy to set up. Really a 3-step process. 1, where's your data coming from? 2, what template are you using or templates? And 3, what's the document process or smart flow? So what are the different steps that happen before and after a document is generated, all done with 1 click. You can simplify and automate all your documents from a simple 1-page letter to a complex quote or contract. The Xpertdoc tool really extends and expands your core system's document generation capabilities. We do all types of documents, from emails to the ones you see here on your screen. So again, I want to thank you all for your time. I hope you're going to leave here with some ideas how to optimize your document processes. And of course, if you're like to discuss how we could help, or at least give you some insight on how things are done and we've seen through our experience, please don't hesitate to contact me. My email's there in the center of the screen under the thank you. It's first initial last name at expertlogics.com. Back to you, Ken.
Thank you, Eric. That was you guys definitely a lot of information in a short amount of time there. Thank you both. We did get some questions in. Actually, let me look through these really quick here. Start off with the first one. It's very specific. It looks like it's to document merging. Does Xpertdoc support document merging? If I created a company resume template and wanted to merge a submitted template into it, can you do that? Can Xpertdoc help with that?
Yes, yes, Xpertdoc can handle that. But what you could do is you could merge any type of document. You could merge PDF, docx, or external documents within the generated document. So these could be all based on rules, business rules. You can integrate those into one generated document easily.
I like quick, simple answers like that. Makes it easy. Next one here. How do I use my current document templates with Xpertdoc?
Well, since Xpertdoc, we're using Microsoft Word as our template designer, you can always start with existing Word documents. And from there, just create a template with the fields mapped from our data set, and you start with existing document. You'll have to start from scratch. And the beauty of working with Microsoft Word is you work with a tool that most everybody knows how to work with.
Excellent, excellent. All right, this next one looks like somebody who's starting to work on things as we speak. What is the average implementation time for a document generation solution like this?
Eric?
Yeah, I could take that one. So it really depends, right? So we work with all companies, large and small, and it really depends on how are you doing things today? What are your desired processes moving forward? And looking at the number of documents you're looking to generate, and the types of use cases and processes that could leverage the tool. Typically, depending on the implementation, our tool is really quite easy and intuitive to set up and configure. You saw that there was really 3 steps that you need to define. Where does your data come from? So define the data sets. Is that one system or multiple systems? That'll contribute to some of the complexities. Templates. Are you looking at starting with a single use case? As I mentioned, typically customer or new customer types of use cases. So sales, for example. So generating quotes and proposals, maybe if that's your first use case. If it's a 1 document or 2 or more. So it really depends on the skill set of your team. So do you prefer Xpertdoc to help provide a turnkey solution? Is there a possibility for a split effort in terms of design of templates and of the document process or smart flow? So it could vary. If you'd like to, whoever asked the question, feel free to reach out to me directly, and I'll be happy to discuss where you're at in the process, and how can we help.
Yeah, may I add just one little thing to your answer, Eric. Also, for the deployment of SmartFlow's Xpertdoc solution, we can be installed on the cloud as well as on premise. So we could be on private cloud, on public cloud, and on premise. Thank you.
That's a good addition. Next one here looks again somebody who is definitely right in the midst of things. I want to improve how we generate our documents, but cannot move off of my legacy system. How can I use a tool like this to help me?
Well, as I mentioned before, we can integrate with most of the CRMs, but for other systems, we have what we call our REST API. So we can collect data from any system that could push the data through an API in SmartFlow. So we could use all the existing legacy system to generate the documents very easily.
Excellent. And I have one more question, actually industry specific on this one. I come from the insurance industry and have several systems and often start in our CRM, but need info from 2 or more systems. Is there a limit?
Actually, with Xpertdoc SmartFlows, there's no limit on where we're getting the data from. So we could get the data from CRM and from multiple other systems, all that into one single template or document. But there's actually no limit for that.
That's good to know. That's good to know. Again, that looks like that was our last question. So that concludes our webinar for today. Thank you, Eric and Stefan. That was a lot of great information and good answers to the questions. Thank you. I'd also like to thank our sponsor for today, Xpertdoc, for making this webinar complimentary for everyone. And remember, you can view this webinar again at any point during the next 12 months. Simply use the same registration link you used to log in today. And for everyone that's attended today, thank you all for attending and have a great rest of your week. Take care and goodbye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.